10. Vulture.
This is the most obvious villain for Keaton to play. The Vulture is an older scientist who developed a harness that gives him superhuman strength and the ability to fly. He is a ruthless killer and shows little care for human life, but he wasn't always that way. Before he was the Vulture, he was Adrian Toombs, an engineer who was duped by his partner Gregory Bestman and left for nothing. He gets mad and creates the said harness and goes on a crime spree until he is stopped by the web slinger. It's a classic Marvel villain origin story, but it leaves a lot on the table for the movie. After giving us complex and layered villains like Loki and Zemo, having a two-bit thief with decent technology may be quite the letdown for moviegoers. Having watched Michael Keaton in Birdman and knowing the MCU, chances are that they will either add more appeal to the character, or they won't use Vulture.
9. Hydroman.
Hydroman is, at best, a sea-level villain who is more often than not just a slight hindrance to the web slinger. However, that gives the writers a ton of creative control with the character. With villains like the Vulture, who have been around for a long time and have defined characteristics, there is only so much they can do. But because Hydroman is relatively unknown, the writers can have a fun time developing interesting characteristics. Think about what the writers did with the Purple Man.
8. Green Goblin.
We really doubt that the Green Goblin will be making an appearance in the upcoming movie, mainly because it's already been done 3 times. Marvel want to show that they don't need to follow old rules and use the same villains we have already seen over and over again. However, Keaton would be an amazing Norman Osborn, a nearly perfect casting choice. He just won an Oscar for playing a man who is suffering from mental issues and has a bit of a death wish. Willem Dafoe did a wonderful job, and Keaton could either surpass or equal his interpretation. The character is now well known as Spider-Man's archenemy because of his history in the movies, but without a Gwen Stacy, his potential as archenemy is greatly diminished. It will probably not happen sadly, but we can hope.
7. Dr. Octopus.
Being a good archenemy means that the hero should see a reflection of themselves in the person they are fighting. The Joker is like Batman if Batman started killing, Captain Hook is like Peter Pan if he grew up, and Sephiroth and Cloud are clones or something in Final Fantasy VII. Otto Octavius and Peter Parker are pretty much the same person, both are engineering geniuses, both lost their father figures as a teenager, and at one point Doc Ock even takes over Peter Parker's consciousness and body and continues as a hero.
6. Mysterio.
Mysterio fits better as a second movie villain as he can mind control someone Spidey has already grown to care about, but that's where Tony Stark comes in. After Civil War we can believe that Tony and Peter stay in contact, and if Mysterio can gain control of a distraught Iron Man, Spidey might have a real battle on his hands. Keaton can play this role well, and fits the part, but we doubt the MCU would choose the fishbowl over the Vulture wings. 5. Tinkerer. Tinkerer is a low-level crook who creates weapons and tools for other thugs to use to find dirt on politicians and others in power, and then the Tinkerer blackmails them. Not quite the main antagonist in the movie, but think about him as the comic relief side guy to play off a stoic villain like Doc Ock or even the Green Goblin. Keaton has been better known as the Oscar winner for Birdman or in Batman, but don't forget that the man was one of the biggest comedians in the world before Tim Burton cast him as the Bat. 4. Hammerhead. Hammerhead is wannabe 1920s era mobster that had his skull replaced with an unbreakable metal plate. Putting in a character like Hammerhead does a lot for the MCU. It opens up the universe to the gang-related crimes that have been so prevalent in Daredevil. It allows the writers to utilize a number of smaller characters that have widely been ignored in favor of Aliens, Tombstone, Chameleon, Black Cat, and also brings the fight back to Earth because the villain is a believable entity, not some self-sufficient robot, or purple dude in space who wants some rocks.
3. Kraven the Hunter.
Kraven is a very layered villain as he is not out to do harm. He just wants to be the best hunter ever, and that means hunting the Spider-Man. He has notably taken out a lot of other criminals throughout the comics and seems more like an anti-hero at certain times, even saving Spidey's life at some points. A lot of people want to see Kraven in the movie, but he is a hard character to bring to the big screen, especially in an origin movie, as he has a very convoluted backstory. Kraven would be great in a TV show. We hope to see him go one-on-one with the Punisher in an upcoming show on Netflix.
2. Punisher.
Hey, a man can dream, right? Keaton as the Punisher makes a little bit of sense. Obviously he'd have to bulk up, but he would definitely be able to do the character justice, something we have never seen on the big screen. He would be able to win us over with a sensitive side, and then heartlessly massacre some evildoers, possibly mistaking Spidey as one. It can't happen though. Why? Because John Bernthal was an excellent Punisher in Daredevil Season 2, and that is a part of the MCU that Spidey is already in.
1. Lizard.
This is possibly the least likely villain on the list for Keaton to portray because Lizard was used so recently in 2012's The Amazing Spider-Man. Not to say that Rhys Ifans wasn't great in the role, but Michael Keaton would just do better. There aren't too many stories with the Lizard that really translate to the big screen, as most of the time he is just rampaging the city without a real plan.